Krishna. So let us do our invocation. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So welcome to today's class. We are reading from the Sri Caitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Adi-lila, chapter 6, called The Glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. And we're talking about Krishna's friends here. We're talking about how everyone in all the different relationships with Krishna consider themselves to be Krishna's servants. So start at text 62. Sri Damadi Vrajayata Sakara Nichaya Aishvarya Jnana Hina Kevala Sakyamaya. Lord Krishna's friends in Vrindavan, headed by Sri Dama, have pure fraternal affection for Lord Krishna and have no idea of his opulences. Krishna Sanghe Yuddha Kare Skandhe Arohana Taradasya Bhave Kare Charana Sevana. Divya?
Hey Krishna, so we're on 6
63.
point. Sorry?
Chapter 6, text 63.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just pulling it.
I'll read this one, you can read the next one.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Prabhupada Priya.
Although they fight with him and climb upon his shoulders, they worship his lotus feet in a spirit of servitude. So that's sweet that they consider themselves his servants, but sometimes they fight with him and sometimes they climb on his shoulders. Padasamvahanam chakru kechittasya mahatmanaha apare hatta papmano vyajanai samavijayan. Go ahead.
Some of the
60.
friends of Sri, oh sorry. Some of the
You're
friends
good.
some of the friends of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, had massaged his feet, and others whose sinful reactions had been destroyed fanned him with handheld fans. This verse quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.15.17 describes how Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram were playing with the cowherd boys after killing Dhenukasura in Taliban.
Oh, wait a minute. Did we read? Was my bookmark where we started yesterday, or was it where we finished? I think we might have read this. Yeah, sorry, my bookmark was where we started yesterday. That all sounded very familiar.
All the queens were talking.
Oh, the queens were talking.
I think we're on 60. I think we stopped at 86.
Oh, yeah, 86. Okay, sorry about. Oh, yeah, exactly, right? The verse, I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya. I'm a servant of Lord Chaitanya. I'm a servant of Lord Chaitanya and the servant of his servants. Okay, good memory, Divya. Whew. Okay, so text 87. Ettabali nache gaya hunkara gambira kshaneke vasila charya haina sustira. Arjuna? Maybe Arjuna's driving or something.
Yes, sir. It just takes me a minute to unmute.
Okay.
Okay. 87.
Yeah.
Saying this, Advaita Prabhu dances and loudly sings. Then, at the next moment, he quietly sits down.
So sweet, right? He jumps up. He says, Chaitanya Dasa Muni, Chaitanya Dasa. He dances around the room and then he quietly sits down. Bhakta Abhimana Mule Shri Balarame Sevave Anugata Tanra Amshagane. Hannah?
The source of sentiment of servitude is indeed Lord Balaram. The plenary expansions who follow him are all influenced by that ecstasy.
Yeah, so Balaram is the source of all the other expansions of Krishna. And because Balaram has that mood that he's the servant of Krishna, then all of the expansions that expand from him, that emanate from him, also carry that same mood, that they're all the servants of Krishna, which they are, which we all are, whether we know it or not. 89. Tanra Avatara Eka Shri Sankarshana Bhakta Bali Abhimana Kare Sarvakshana. Lavanga, are you where we are? Chapter Adi-lila, chapter 6, text 89.
I'm pulling it up right now. It'll take a minute, so can you let me do the next one?
Okay, sure. I'll just read this. Lord Sankarshan, who is one of his incarnations, always considers himself a devotee. Jai. Text 90. Tanra Avatara Ana Shriyuta Lakshmana Shri Ramera Dasya Tinho Kaila Anukshana. Got it?
All right, I got it. I got it now. Another of his incarnations, Lakshmana, who is very beautiful and opulent, always serves Lord Ram.
Mhm. So this Lakshman is, an incarnation of Lord Balaram, who is also the servant of Krishna, but Krishna in his incarnation is Lord Ram. Lakshman is Ram's younger brother, and he's always serving him very loyally. Sankarshana Avatara Karanabdi Shai Tanhara Hridaye Bhakta Baba Anuyayi. You want to read, Kritika?
The wisdom of life and the causal ocean is an incarnation of Lord Sankarshan, and accordingly, the emotion of being a devotee is always present in his heart.
So this Vishnu that they're talking about is Karana Dakshai Vishnu, that lies down on the Karana ocean. And he's also considering himself to be a devotee of Krishna, and his whole purpose of emanating all the universes from his body is to serve Krishna, because Krishna needs the universe to be created, so all of us conditioned souls can have a chance to meet a devotee and start bhakti and go back to Godhead. Tanhara Prakasha Bedha Advaita Acharya Kaya Mano Vakye Tanra Bhakti Sadakarya. Divya.
Sorry. The 92?
Yes.
Yes. Advaita Acharya is a separate expansion of him. He always engages in devotional service with his thoughts, words, and actions.
Right. So remember, the Advaita Acharya is that same Mahavishnu, Karnadakshai Vishnu, from whose body all the universes come out like little, so numerous as bubbles in the ocean. Hannah, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just want this. I feel like I've asked this question 5 times, but I just want to be sure I get it. So, Kshirodakshai Vishnu is the one that glances at material nature and impregnates
No,
her.
the one who glances is Mahavishnu.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. So Mahavishnu glances, and then Kar.
Mahavishnu is Karnadakshai Vishnu. It's just two names for the same personality.
So he glances at material nature and then enters into it and then lays down on the causal ocean, and then from his navel sprouts Lord Brahma, and then
No.
Okay, tell me. I'll be
From
quiet.
him expands Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Garbhodakshai Vishnu enters into each individual universe. And then from Garbhodakshai Vishnu's navel comes the lotus flower that Lord Brahma, pops out on. And then that Garbhodakshai Vishnu expands himself into Kshirodakshai Vishnu, who enters into the heart of all beings and also becomes the Lord of Swetadweep within the universe.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So Advaita Acharya is Karanadakshayi Vishnu, who is the first of the Vishnus, from whom the other two expand. Vakye kahe muni chaitanyara anuchara muni tanra bhaktamane bhavanirantara. Arjuna.
By his words, he declares, I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Thus, with his mind, he always thinks, I am his devotee.
Hannah, another question?
I'm sorry. Okay, so why does Kshirodakshayi Vishnu become Advaita Acharya?
No, it's Mahavishnu that comes Advaita Acharya.
But you said Mahavishnu is Kshirodakshayi
No, I said he's Karanadakshayi Vishnu.
Oh, so okay, so why does he become Advaita Acharya?
Because he's a servant of the Lord, and so when the Lord comes as Lord Chaitanya, then he wants to serve him. Right?
Yeah.
So then he comes as his personal associate and he serves him very nicely.
Is it because he has like the mood of a servant? And so he fits perfectly into that Leela?
Yeah, I mean, everyone, like we're hearing, all the incarnations have the mood of servant, right? Because Lord Balaram is the source of all those incarnations. Well, Lord Balaram, Krishna is the source of all incarnations, but Balaram is the first incarnation who expands from Krishna, right? So, because Balaram, he sets the mood for all the incarnations by his mood of being a servant. So they all want to serve. They all want to take. Balaram also wants to take part and serve. Wants to serve Lord Chaitanya. He serves Krishna in Vrindavan. He serves Krishna in Dwarka. And then when Krishna comes as Lord Chaitanya, he wants to serve him in Navadvip Dham too. So he comes as Nityananda. And when Krishna comes as Lord Ramachandra, then he wants to serve him too. And he comes as Lakshman. So like that, these expansions, and devotees, they all just want to serve Krishna in different ways. And so Krishna's personal associates, or they want to serve him personally. Then there are some incarnations that perform specific functions, and then they just perform their specific functions. We don't hear that they come in every single Leela. Maybe some of them do. But
I've also heard, kind of like how you were talking the other day about there's no such thing as pure goodness, passion, or ignorance. I've also heard that with different bhavs, like devotees maybe who have like a mood of friendship with Krishna, they have like servitude in there as well. Like they have all of the other like lower, not lower, but maybe anyways, like all the other ones. So is it that like these devotees who are coming like in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, they don't have like pure servant attitudes, like they also have a little bit of friendship, or is it not?
Well, I mean, when they come in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, then because Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are different from Krishna's pastimes, then these services that they do in those pastimes are going to be different, right? Like if someone's a gopi in Krishna Lila, she's going to be dancing with Krishna and having all kinds of romantic exchanges with Krishna, or supporting Radharani's romantic exchanges with Krishna. So they're not going to be having romantic exchanges with Lord Chaitanya because he's a sannyasi. Right? And anyways, they're males. So that's not happening. So then, yeah, they serve the Lord in different ways that are appropriate to the mood and mission of his incarnation. Okay, good. So let us go ahead here. 94. Jala tulasi diya kare kayate sevana bhakti prachariya sabatarila bhuvana. All right, Hannah, that's you, I think.
With his body, he worshipped the Lord by offering Ganges water and tulsi leaves, and by preaching devotional service, he delivered the entire universe.
Yeah, so this is Advaita Acharya. He was an Acharya, right? He was a big teacher. He even taught Lord Chaitanya and his older brother, right, when they were young boys in Navadvip. And offering of gas, water, and tulsi leaves to Shaligram Shila, and calling out very loudly for the Lord to come. Prithivi dharena ye shesha sankarshana kaya vyuha kari karena krishnera sevana. Lavanga.
Yes. Shesha Shankarshan, who holds all the planets on his heads, expands himself in different bodies to render service to Lord Krishna.
Jai. Yeah, Shesha does different. Isabahaya Shri Krishnara Avatara Nirantara Deki Sabara Bhaktira Achara. These are all incarnations of Lord Krishna, yet we always find that they act as devotees. Isabake Shastre Kahe Bhakta Avatara Bhakta Avatara Para Upari Sabara.
The scripture calls them incarnation as Bhakta Avatara. The position of being such an incarnation is above all others. But the Supreme Personality of God appears in different incarnations, but his appearance in the role of a devotee is more beneficial to a conditioned soul than with all their opulences. Sometimes a conditioned soul is bewildered when he tries to understand the incarnation of Godhead with full opulence. Lord Krishna appeared and performed many uncommon activities, and some materialistic misunderstood him. But in his appearance as Lord Chaitanya, he didn't show much of his opulences, and therefore pure conditioned souls were bewildered. Misunderstanding the Lord, many fools consider themselves incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the result is that after leaving the material body, they enter the species of jackals. People who cannot understand lower species of life as punishment. Conditioned souls who are puffed up by false egoism and who try to become one with the Supreme Lord become Mayavadis.
Okay, thank you. So it's interesting, he's saying that the Lord appears in many different ways, shapes, and forms, but when he appears as a devotee, this is the most beneficial. So this is the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, right? Because by coming and acting as a devotee, he's showing by his own example how to be a devotee, how to worship the Lord, and also like what are the benefits of bhakti, right? Because we can see the benefits of all the results of bhakti manifesting in Lord Chaitanya, right? All of his ecstasies, all of his revelations, and all the way he transforms. Because, for example, like Lord Chaitanya in his youth, he's a scholar, right? And he's Nimai Pandit, he's this puffed up scholar. And actually the devotees are like a little intimidated by him. When he's walking down the street, Advaitacharya and the others, they would actually like cross to the other side because they didn't want to have to debate with him, because he was just really into like logic and rhetoric, and he would debate over some, points of logic, and they just wanted to talk about Krishna, and they would even let this Nimai Pandit become a Vaishnava because he's such a powerful preacher. He's whoever he talks to, he convinces. No one can defeat him, So they're thinking if he becomes a devotee, he's going to be such a powerful preacher. He's going to convert many people to Vaishnavism. So they were literally, and then Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya to perform the ceremonies for his departed father. And then he happened to meet his spiritual master, Ishvara Puri. And then he took shelter of him and took initiation from him. And then he came back a changed man. Came back ecstatic because he got the Hare Krishna mantra. So he started chanting and he started becoming like ecstatic in love of God. And so Lord Chaitanya displayed all of these things, like how, okay, whatever you're doing before you become a devotee, when you actually surrender to a guru and start following the process, then you become a different person and you become so happy and enlivened. And then, you become empowered and you can influence so many other people and help so many people. And then afterwards, in his later leelas, he was demonstrating how he was so absorbed in Krishna Smaranam. He was entering into the pastimes. He was demonstrating all the different symptoms of devotional ecstasy. And Yeah. So he showed us the whole gamut, the whole range, from start to finish of bhakti.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So sannyas is not recommended in Kali Yuga, right? But why Lord Chaitanya appeared as a sannyasi?
Yeah, well, it said that it's not recommended for anyone except practitioners of bhakti because because bhakti is so powerful, right? The other processes, they don't give the practitioners enough of a higher taste, and they're not so powerfully purifying. So because of impurities in the heart and because of not having a higher taste for spiritual activities, not even having many spiritual activities, right? Because yoga and gyan, those processes are very dry. They just kind of sit around studying or meditating. It's almost sure that they're going to fall down. But bhakti is so purifying and so engaging that for sannyasis in the bhakti school, in the bhakti line, yeah, they're good. They can be fine. Of course, they still need to be careful.
I'm just clarifying. You said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before meeting his guru, what he was preaching, and he was debating with Ishwari Advaita Acharya,
Yeah, he would
debating.
debate with everyone. That was his thing. He would literally travel.
He was materialist, or
I mean, he wasn't exactly materialist, but he was
Vedanta, right?
He was scholar. He was a scholar, and he was a teacher, like by profession. He was a teacher. He started a school when he was young. He was just like, I don't know, he was very young, 12 years old or a teenager. So he started a school because he was so smart. And then he had students, and he was teaching them grammar and logic, rhetoric, debates, and nyaya. All these um, Vedic uh, things. And so, yeah, and then the culture at that time was that those who were experienced at debate, so they would have competitions, right? They would travel and they would go from town to town and they would debate. And then whoever, like when you defeated someone in debate, that person had to accept you, as like an authority or as your teacher. And so this way he was getting a lot of name and fame and a lot of students, and he was very popular. But then, because he was so much into debating, he would debate with everyone, and he would also debate with the devotees. And he would just like kind of pick arguments. He would just challenge them. He would just like confront them in the street and be like, "Hey, you Vaishnavas, say this. What about it?" And then they would just start debating, and then he would always defeat them because he's God. How can you defeat God at debate? Hannah.
So, you were saying like taking sannyas is only not recommended in Kali Yuga except for the bhakti path, but why do sometimes, not even just sannyasis, but why is it that sometimes people practicing bhakti, like even if they're eating prasadam and chanting their rounds for many years, still like it doesn't work for them in the same way that it works for others, in the sense that like they still like will commit offenses, or you can still see their anarthas. Maybe is it that they actually are pure, but we are just maybe seeing some residual stuff, or does it really just not, like, I don't want to say it doesn't work for everybody, but like, why is it that it works for some people so?
Yeah, I mean, they might have taken sannyas prematurely. They might have taken sannyas for the wrong reasons. And even if they took sannyas for the right reasons and at a stage of, decent spiritual maturity, Maya is very strong, right? And we are all fallible beings. So that means we can fall down. And maybe they didn't protect themselves adequately, right? With strong Vaishnava association, with senior and peer association. And maybe they, their schedule was too intense. They were doing so much traveling and so much preaching. They weren't eating properly or sleeping properly or even having time to chant their rounds properly. And then, they became physically and mentally weak, spiritually weak. And then, yeah, as a sannyasi, you get a lot of attention. You get people flocking all over you. You get like, young women, body mind and soul to you. So, there are opportunities. So then it's dangerous. You need to be very strong. Yeah, so nowadays they have like, ISKCON is growing and getting better at providing checks and balances and safety nets for people. And so, when Prabhupada was here, it was an emergency situation. He was old already, and he was in his 70s. He had a worldwide movement to spread from scratch. He had a huge mission, and he needed dedicated people. He needed young, enthusiastic people who were just going to devote their life to preaching. Right? So he made sannyasis from men who were like in their 20s. Nowadays, that is not allowed. that is not done. So nowadays, there's like a minimum age for sannyas. I think you need to be 45 or 50. And there's a whole stringent vetting process and selection process. And they make them do so many things to test whether they're actually ready, whether they're capable. They need to spend something like a year traveling with a senior sannyasi who's observing them and monitoring them and training them. And then they get like an assignment for another year where they have to travel to this country, that country, and they send them to the most difficult countries, like Papua New Guinea or something, Africa or something. And then they have to go there and preach and, to see if they can handle it, because it's difficult. Kind of being alone and a stranger in a strange land and just preaching and accepting whatever conditions they have in New Guinea. It's a country over in Southeast Asia. Yeah. So, and if they can pass all of those tests, then they could take sannyas. But in Prabhupada's day, it was like, it would be like my spiritual master, he took sannyas when he was 23 and he was newly married. He had just gotten married like the previous year. And it was just like, he wasn't planning to take sannyas. And there was a sannyas initiation going on. Some of his godbrothers were taking sannyas. And then they're all just sitting the day before the sannyas initiations. They were sitting around in a circle and like, yeah, I wonder who's going to be the next person to take sannyas. And then somebody jokingly said, oh, I think it'll be Hridayananda. And then they all started laughing because he had just gotten married and his wife was so clingy. The two of them were always together. They were inseparable. And so he said it like sarcastic, like facetiously, that like he's going to be actually the last person to take sannyas. But then somebody else there was like, actually, no, why not? Hridayananda Das Brahmachari, he's such a, Hridayananda Das Adhikari. He's a really empowered preacher. He really knows his stuff and he's convincing. And, he's a teacher and he's a scholar and already, he could be a really powerful sannyasi. And then they just started, then all of them were like, yeah, actually, And then they're like, oh, but he has to get his wife's permission. Let's see. So then they talk to her and she's like, this is what Prabhupada wants him to do. Then I give him my full blessings. She was like so sold out to Prabhupada. And then they talked to Prabhupada and Prabhupada was just kind of like, sure. And he took sannyas the next day. So fortunately, actually, he was one of the few that didn't fall down, from those early days of sannyas initiations. But because I'm just saying that as an example of how like very quickly young men were given sannyas and very, quickly and even I would say, almost whimsically, like Krishna's controlling everything, but there was no process, You're just like, oh, you want to take sannyas? What do you think, Prabhupada? Can I take sannyas? Sure. I mean, I'm sure Prabhupada said no to some of them, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure Prabhupada could see that Hridayananda Maharaj was like, born to be a sannyasi, which suits his nature very well. So, but yeah, so that's another reason why some of them fell down, because they were just so young. I mean, decisions you make when you're 23, it's like
Yeah, actually, yesterday I was funny enough listening to a lecture by Hridayananda Maharaj, and he was saying that he wouldn't wish taking sannyas so young like that on his worst enemy. He said he said it was too young, and he's glad that has changed, because it was very challenging.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, not only sannyas, but then 23, he took sannyas. I think age 29, he became a Diksha guru. And no, I think even before that, he became a GBC. Maybe age 26, while Prabhupada was still here, he became a GBC. And then at age 29, he became a Diksha guru. And that same year, he became a zonal acharya for like 25 countries. That meant that this was a zonal acharya system where everybody in those countries who became a devotee became the person's disciple. Like they didn't have a choice in the matter. So he opened up a whole continent to Krishna consciousness and started a BBT in Portuguese language. And, you know, it was amazing what he did, but it was a lot on a 20-something-year-old. You know what I mean? Lavanga?
I was just thinking as you're talking, being in the Dominican Republic, it's given me a lot of respect for Prabhupada disciples that were preaching back in the day, or that even took sannyas back in the day, because it's a lot easier to be Krishna conscious in like an established community where there's a lot of devotees around. But when a movement is very young, or when you don't have a lot of devotees around, and you're having to like establish something, or like in my case, like try to like help revive something, and there's not much there, it can be really difficult, and there's a lot of tests and a lot of challenges that come with that. And so yeah, I mean, just that's one of the things that happened to me when I came here. I got a lot more respect for like the Prabhupada disciples, and like the difficulties that they had to go through establishing Krishna consciousness, and how like you can get tested by Maya so easily because you don't have a lot of devotees around all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and practically like no peer association, because in those days, anyone, they didn't travel, like one sannyasi wouldn't go to another place because there was already like the zonal acharya was there. That was like his turf, and even they were discouraged from doing so. Like I think Hridaya Maharaj said that he was asking if he could go to some other place and preach a little bit, just to get a break from his zone where he had all the, leadership responsibilities. And they're like, no, that's his zone. So like, so they didn't like, mix with each other. And yeah, Hridaya Maharaj said that he always jokes, I took sannyas before my brain was even fully developed. Arjuna? Because I think, like the male brain is not fully developed until at least age 25.
I can attest to that. I was thinking to Hannah's comment with like some of these absolute statements that kind of sound like bhakti is the way and the only way. I also find that there's a lot of conditionals to that. It's not like one says, I'm a bhakti yogi and immediately, all of these amazing feelings awaken. Like there's so many conditionals. Like in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the first verse talks about how one has to be like fixed in devotional service. And there's like different things, you have to be devoid of like material desires. So there's a lot of things that are conditional to how bhakti awakens in the heart. So for me, can be also a little bit confusing sometimes when I hear these verses, but then it's like, yeah, but I also need to do all of these other things to be able to have, that experience.
Yeah, I mean, there's bhakti, just, devotees chanting Hare Krishna, doing devotional service. And then there's pure bhakti, which is something on another level. So not all bhaktas are the same. Pragati?
I was also thinking that if Prabhupada said that, okay, next day take sannyas, I was thinking he must have empowered him to follow whole of his life, because he takes the responsibility of his disciples. Like we say that, yeah, it is like, do you he must be empowering.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the
all
guru gives a
the
lot of empowerment.
yeah to be in this sannyasi at this early age.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you ask Sridhar, he's going to be the first one to say, I was empowered. This was not coming from me. What I did was not. This was Prabhupada's empowerment.
He will not leave. He will not leave their disciples. Yeah.
Yeah, when Prabhupada has done it, then definitely he would have
Something.
said something. Like he cannot do anything also, like, yeah.
Yeah, the devotees that Prabhupada gave some day, I mean, they all did amazing. They all made amazing contributions. They all did like huge, huge services. And then, afterwards, when they got into their 30s and they were kind of like, you know what? And they had some other thoughts, that kind of feeling like, uh-oh, I kind of wish I could have gotten married. But yeah. Hannah.
I promise I'll shut up after this. I love to pick your brain, and this is like my one and only chance. Okay. Like to the point of there's a difference between being like a practitioner versus like actually developing bhakti. Prabhupada said that we could develop our Krishna consciousness even to like 60% or 70%, like it would be sufficient in one lifetime, and that would be enough to go back to Godhead. But once I met Jadharani, and then she became Shamarani Devidasi, which she painted for Prabhupada, and she told me that Prabhupada just said that to encourage us, but actually it takes lifetimes to become fully Krishna conscious. I always fell back on, well, Prabhupada wouldn't lie. Like, Prabhupada wouldn't lie to us. But what do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, there's that story of Maharaj Katvanga that he was fighting on behalf of the demigods, and he fought for like 100 years or 100 celestial years on behalf of the demigods, and then he defeated the demons, and they were very happy with him. So they said, ask us any benediction. So the benediction that he asked was, I would like to know when I'm going to die. And then they said, oh, we can tell you, you're going to die in the next moment. Like you have a minute left of your life, basically. And then he immediately was just like, Krishna. He just like totally focused his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, the pure service attitude and devotion and faith. And then he went back to Godhead. So then Prabhupada there says that, we can become Krishna conscious in a moment, right? By the example of Maharaj Katvanga. Or it can take many lifetimes. It's up to us. So it just depends on how much we're willing to let go and how much we're willing to embrace and how much we're able to control our minds and our sincerity, our eagerness, our humility, our determination, right? So, yeah, those are all variable factors that we can control. Okay. Yeah, and Krishna also has his part to play, right? Like it's like we can't make ourselves pure, we can't make ourselves Krishna conscious, but we can act in such a way that Krishna is going to see us and bless us. And then by his mercy, that's how we become fully Krishna conscious again. Okay, text 98. Ekamatra amshi Krishna amsha avatara amshi amshe deki jeshta kanishta achara.
Lord Krishna is the source of all incarnations, and all others are his parts or partial incarnations. We find that the whole and the part behaves as superior and inferior.
Krishna is the whole, and with the Sukhavas, even the other incarnations are his parts. We are his tiny little infinitesimal parts. So he's superior and we're inferior. He's the superior incarnation and others are inferior. Jeshtabhave amshite haya prabhu jnana kanishtabhave apanate bhakta abhimana.
Support. A fraction of a particular thing is called a part, and that from which the fraction is distinguished is called the whole. Therefore, the fractional part is included within the whole. The Lord is the whole, and the devotee is the part and fractional part. That is the relationship between the Lord and the devotee. There are also gradations of devotee who are calculated as greater or lesser. When a devotee is great, he is called Prabhu, and when he is lesser, he is called Bhakta or a devotee. The supreme whole is Krishna and Baladev, and all Vishnu incarnations are his fractions. Lord Krishna is therefore conscious of his superior position, and all Vishnu incarnations are conscious of their positions as devotees.
Interesting, right? The Vishnu incarnations are conscious of their position as devotees. So Krishna, but then when Krishna comes, let's see, he has the emotions of an infant. When they understand that they are inferior to Krishna, and they have the emotions of an inferior. I am your servant. I will do what you want. Krishna samata haite bada bhakta para atma haite Krishna bhakta haya prema spada. Divya?
Krishna. Sorry, we're at 99.
100.
Okay. The position of being a devotee is higher than that of equality with Lord Krishna, for the devotees are dearer to Lord Krishna than his own self. The conception of oneness with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is inferior to that of eternal service to the Lord, because Lord Krishna is more affectionate to devotees than to his personal self. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 9.4.68, the Lord clearly says, "My devotees are my heart, and I am the heart of my devotees. My devotees do not know anyone but me. Similarly, I do not know anyone but my devotees." This is the intimate relationship between the Lord and his devotees.
Amazing, right? So, we were just hearing about how the devotees are inferior, but then it says that, but the devotee, from Krishna's point of view, the devotee is higher because they're dearer to him than his own self. So we see Krishna as higher, but Krishna sees his devotees as higher. Amazing, right? Atma haite Krishna bhakte bara karimane ihate bahuta shastra vachana pramane. Arjuna?
Lord Krishna considers his devotees greater than himself. In this connection, the scriptures provide an abundance of evidence.
He's going to give some evidence. Natata me priyatama atmayonir nasankaraha nacha sankarshano nashrir naivatma cha yata bhavan. Anna?
Me?
Yes.
Oh. O Uddhava, neither Brahma, nor Sankara, nor Sankarshan, nor Lakshmi, nor even my own self is as dear to me as you. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-15. That is my favorite photo.
Yes, very sweet, right? Imagine sitting there. Imagine being in Uddhava's shoes and like having Krishna say that you are more dear to me than Brahma, Shiva, Lakshmi, or even my own self. Imagine how his heart must have been melting. Next 103. Krishna samye nahe tanra madhurya svadana bhakta bhave kare tanra madhurya charvana. Krishna Balaram.
Very well.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The
103.
sweetness of Lord Krishna is not to be tasted by those who consider themselves equal to Krishna. It is to be tasted only through the sentiment of servitude.
So, So that's why even those who are equal to Krishna consider themselves his servants, because that's how you taste the nectar. Even if, of course, no one is actually objectively equal to Krishna, because And Krishna says that there's no one equal to or greater than him. Everyone is lower. But for example, his friends, right? Sometimes they feel like we're equal to Krishna. But even in that feeling of equality in their fraternal relationship, they still consider themselves his servants. And then that sentiment of servitude is where the sweetness is tasted. So something to remember, right? Shastrara Siddhanta e Vigyara Anubhava Buddhaloka Nahi Jane Bhavira Vaibhava. This conclusion of the revealed scriptures is also the realization of experienced devotees. Fools and rascals, however, cannot understand the opulences of devotional emotions. Purport. When a person is liberated in the Sarupya form, it is not possible for him to relish the relationship of Krishna's personal associates in their exchanges of mellows. The devotees of Krishna, however, in their loving relationships with Krishna, sometimes forget their own identities. Sometimes they think themselves one with Krishna, and yet relish still greater transcendental mellow in that way. People in general, because the transcendental mellow of servitorship to the Lord. When a person is actually advanced in spiritual understanding, however, he can accept the transcendental servitorship of the Lord without hesitation. Yeah, so he's saying people are very foolish when they want to be the master, because the position of master is not a happy one. That's not where you taste the nectar. And also the position of equality is not where you taste the nectar, right? Like these devotees who want Sarupya Mukti, they go to Vaikuntha and they have a form just like Vishnu, and they're like, yay, now I'm just the same as Vishnu, I'm equal to him, I'm just as beautiful and just whatever. But that's not where it's at, right? The real nectar is in servitorship. So he's saying better go to Vraj and then where everyone is in this mood of loving service. Yeah.
This is such a sweet mood where Krishna is saying, I don't know anyone but my devotees, and devotees can know anything but me.
Yeah.
Such a nice motive to be the devotees.
Right? Yeah.
Rather than being equal or something.
Bhakta Bhava Angikari Balarama Lakshmana Advaita Nityananda Shesha Sankarshana Krishna Ramadurya Rasamrita Kare Pana Seisuke Mata Kichu Nahi Jane Ana. He's finally got that down. Took some months. The second verse.
Baladeva Lakshmana, Advaita Acharya, Lord Nityananda, Lord Sesha, and Lord Sankarsana, placed the nectarian levels of the transcendental bliss of Lord Krishna by the concept that brings him to it. They're all mad with that happiness and they know nothing else.
So this is Lord Balaram, Lakshman, and Vitacharya. They're mad with the happiness of being Krishna's devotee, of being Krishna's servant. They don't want anything else. They don't want a promotion, right? They don't want to be equal to Krishna. They don't want to be the master of Krishna or the master of anyone. They just want to be the servant of the servant. Anyera achukkarya apane Shri Krishna apana madhurya pane hayila satrishna.
What to speak of others? Even Lord Krishna himself becomes thirsty to taste his own sweetness.
Krishna's like, oh my God, my devotees are so happy. They're like mad in ecstasy being my servant. I want to be my servant. I want to know what it feels like to be my devotee. Swamadurya asvadite karena yatana bhakta lava vinuna hita asvadana.
He tries to taste his own sweetness, but he cannot do so without accepting the emotion of the devotee. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna wanted to relish the transcendental mellow of a devotee, and therefore he accepted the role of a devotee by appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, so he comes as Lord Caitanya to get to know what it feels, what ecstasies his devotees feel in serving him and loving him. Bhakta Bhava Angikare Kaila Avatirna Shri Krishna Chaitanya Rupe Sarva Bhave Purna. Divya.
Therefore, Lord Krishna accepted the position of a devotee and descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya, who is complete in every respect.
Sarva Bhave Purnam. Complete in every respect. Yeah, he's completely Krishna, but he comes in the form of a devotee. Nana Bhakta Bhave Karena Swamadurya Pana Urve Karina Chiye Siddhanta Vyakyana. Arjuna.
He tastes his own sweetness through the various emotions of a devotee. I have formerly explained this conclusion. Lord Chaitanya, who is known as Sri Gaurahari, is complete in relishing all the different mellows, namely neutrality, servitorship, fraternity, parental affection, and conjugal love. By accepting the ecstasy of different grades of devotees, he is complete in relishing all the mellows of these relationships.
Avatara Ganir Bhakta Bhave Adhikara Bhakta Bhava Haite Adhika Sukha Nahi Ara. Hannah?
All the incarnations are entitled to the emotions of devotees. There is no higher bliss than this. Purport. All the different incarnations of Lord Vishnu have the right to play the roles of servitors of Lord Krishna by descending as devotees. When an incarnation gives up the understanding of his godhead and plays the part of a servitor, he enjoys a greater taste of transcendental mellows than when he plays the part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, so that's another reason why Advaitacharya comes in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, is because Mahavishnu is Karnadakshaya Vishnu. He's very much God, right? He's playing a very God. He's in a God position, right? Like, I am the creator. Universes are expanding from my body. By my glance, I'm causing everything to start, creation to manifest. So he's really, in a God role. Whereas when he comes as Vaitachari, he's in a servant role. He's not doing anything to indicate that he's God at all. So he enjoys a greater taste of transcendental mellows. Mula Bhakta Avatara Sri Sankarshana Bhakta Avatara Tani Advaite Ganana. Hannah has her hand up. Hey, I thought you said you were going to shut up.
Well, with questions, but I just had an amazing realization. And now I forgot it. My God, that is so embarrassing. I really have to shut up now.
Sorry. I shouldn't have been so harsh. Sometimes I'm a little mean. But you know me well, right, Hannah?
No, you're perfect, Prabhupada Priya.
We have a rasa.
I was thinking that even God, like Krishna himself, has came to taste the sweetness, being a devotee, and we are in the position of devotees, but like we are not actual devotee, we are not pure devotee, and we are not tasting it. When Krishna himself is coming down, to take this position,
just goes to show that we have a lot of work to do, right? To actually become devotees, because what we're experiencing now, we're like, why would God come down to feel what I'm feeling, right? So that just goes to show that we're not there yet. But it gives us hope that, we will someday, right? Like if we're like, all right, this is it, this is the perfection, and be like, really? But it's like, no, we started, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to get there. All right, Hannah, did you remember?
I did. I guess I had to be embarrassed first to be able to say it. The realization is this. In that previous verse where it says, when an incarnation gives up the understanding of his godhead and plays the part of a servitor, he enjoys a greater taste of transcendental mellows than when he plays the part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first thing that I thought when I read this was, that's far out. But then what I really realized is, actually, even in that like far out conception of expansions and more expansions from expansions, you can see that God is a person, because he wants to also enter into lila and feel pleasure. So even in that, like, basically that was my realization, even in that far out concept of, oh, he has to take this form to enjoy this mellow, it's because he's a person.
Yeah. Because in one sense, right, you could think, well, he's omniscient, right? He's the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and he knows what we're experiencing, right? He knows our thoughts, he knows our feelings. So if he's sitting in our heart, he knows our feelings. So then why does he need to come as a devotee to know our feelings? Why can't he just be in, and even, his devotees are all expansions of him. So he must be conscious, right? He has to be conscious of everybody's experience. Mm. So why does he have to come? Because he's a person. He wants to experience it personally and himself as a person. So this also shows that, yeah, there's something special about the personal experience that cannot be attained by, Brahman or Paramatma, even though they may be all pervasive and all knowing. Arshana Bhakta Avatara Tani Advaite Ganana. Krishna Balaram Prabhu.
The original Bhakta avatar is Sankarsana. Sri Advaita is counted among such incarnations. Although Sri Advaita Prabhu belongs to the Vishnu category, he displays servitorship with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as one of his associates. When Lord Vishnu appears as a servitor, he is called an incarnation of a devotee of Lord Krishna. Sri Shankarsana, who is an incarnation of Vishnu in the spiritual sky known as the Greater Vaikuntha, is the chief of the quadruple incarnations and is the original incarnation of a devotee. Lord Mahavishnu, who's lying on the causal ocean, is a manifestation of Sankarsana. He is the original personality of Godhead who glances over the material and efficient causes of cosmic manifestation. Advaita Prabhu is accepted as an incarnation of Mahavishnu. All the plenary manifestations of Sankarsana are indirect expansions of Lord Krishna. That consideration also makes Advaita Prabhu an eternal servitor of Gaur Krishna. Therefore, he is accepted as a devotee incarnation.
Jai. Yeah, so we've been hearing this. This is about the umpteenth time we've heard this kind of thing, right? Okay, I'm thinking that we just have a few, actually, not many verses left to finish this chapter. So let's go ahead and finish this chapter. Advaita Acharya Gosanira Mahima Apara Yanhar Hunkare Kaila Chaitanya Avatara. Glories of Sri Advaita Acharya are boundless, for his sincere vibrations brought about Lord Chaitanya's descent upon this earth. Sankirtana Pracharya Savajagattarila Advaita Prasade Loka Premadana Paila.
He liberated the whole universe by preaching Sankirtana. Thus, the people of the world receive the treasure of Lord of Godhead through the mercy of Sri Advaita.
Sankirtan Prachar. Advaita Mahima Ananta Kepare Kahite Seliki Yeshuni Mahajana Haite.
Who can describe the unlimited glories of Advaita Acharya? I write here as much as I have known from great authorities.
Acharya Charanayamura Koti Namaskara Ite Kichu Aparada Nala de Amara.
From our obeisances 10 million times to the Lord Advaita Acharya. Please do not take offense at this.
Koti Namaskara. Millions of namaskaras, millions of obeisances. I wonder why he thinks we would take offense to that. Maybe he's thinking, oh, he's going to pay so many obeisances to Advaita Acharya. Maybe he's neglecting others.
Or maybe he's speaking to the Lord? To Advaita Acharya?
Krishnadas Kaviraj. This is Krishnadas Kaviraj speaking, I think, to his readers.
Okay. I thought maybe he was talking to Advaita Acharya. Like, please don't take offense at me. At my,
Oh, no.
like, okay.
Tomara Mahima Koti Samudra Agadha Tahara Iyata Kahi Evada Aparadha. Divya?
Your glories are as fathomless as millions of oceans and seas. Speaking of its measure is a great offense indeed.
Your glories. Maybe he is.
That is the offense.
That looks like he's saying it, and then he's saying your glories. Well, at least in this verse, he's talking to Advaita Acharya. Your glories. Tomara. Yeah, that definitely means your. Oh, so maybe he's thinking that 1,000,000 times is not enough. I'm offering only 10 million. 10 million. I'm offering only 10 million obeisances to your feet. Please don't be offended due to my insufficient obeisances, because your glories are unlimited. I should be offering unlimited obeisances, but because of my limitations, I can only offer 10 million. Sorry. Jaya 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 Shri Advaita Acharya. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Nityananda Arya. Arjuna?
I'll pass on this one.
Okay. Hannah?
Okay. All
Ecstatic
glory.
one.
Yeah. Thanks, Arjuna. All glories to Sri Advaita Acharya. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the superior Lord Nityananda.
Okay. Dui shloke kahila advaita tattva nirupana pancha tattvera vichara kichu shuna bhaktagana. Krishna Balaram.
Thus, in 2 verses, I have described the truth concerning Advaita Acharya. Now, all devotees, please hear about the 5 truths, Panchatattva.
All right, so now next chapter we're going to hear about the Panchatattva, the ecstatic chapter. Now this is the ending, the last verse that ends all chapters in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha Chaitanya Chaitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Let's end the Bhaktivinoda purports to Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi-lila, 6th chapter, describing the glories of Shri Advaita Acharya. Right. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Prabhupada Priya.
Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Shatkaraj ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Prabhupada Priya.